Nobody expected it to spiral the way it did. One clip, one interaction, and suddenly timelines were on fire. Comment sections were divided. Loyalty was being questioned in ways nobody saw coming. Because when it comes to Papoose, people don't just see a rapper. They see commitment. They see history. They see a love story that survived prison sentences, industry pressure, and years of public scrutiny. So when his public moment with Claressa Shields started trending, it didn't feel small. It felt symbolic. The moment itself wasn't explosive at first glance. There was no shouting. No obvious scandal. It was subtle. An appearance together. Energy that seemed slightly too comfortable for some viewers. Body language that social media slowed down, zoomed in on, and replayed like forensic analysts examining evidence. And in the age of viral culture, perception moves faster than facts. Within hours, what may have been just a friendly interaction was reframed as something deeper. The timing made it heavier. Remy Ma's name was already circulating online for unrelated reasons, which meant emotions were heightened. The public has long viewed Remy and Papoose as one of hip-hop's rare examples of loyalty done right. Their story has been told repeatedly. The wedding while she was incarcerated, the unwavering support, the interviews where Papoose spoke about patience and devotion as if it were sacred. For years, their relationship wasn't just personal. It was public inspiration. And when something threatens that image, even slightly, people react. So when fans saw Papoose and Claressa in close proximity laughing, interacting, appearing aligned, it triggered something deeper than gossip. It felt like a disruption of a narrative people were emotionally invested in. In hip-hop, loyalty isn't just private. It's cultural currency. Any shift in that image creates waves. Claressa, on the other hand, is not someone who fades into the background. She carries presence. She's confident, accomplished, and used to dominating conversations in her own arena. She doesn't move timidly. And that's part of why the situation escalated so quickly. When two strong personalities appear aligned publicly, people don't assume coincidence. They assume intention. That's where the backlash began. At first, the comments were mild. Didn't expect this. Interesting timing. But then the tone shifted. Where's Remy? This looks crazy. This isn't a good look. Suddenly, the narrative began building itself. Reaction channels picked it up. Bloggers added speculation. Screenshots spread faster than context ever could. And in the digital world, once a storyline forms, it becomes almost impossible to control. What made it even more intense was the silence. There was no immediate denial, no clarification. No statement saying, y'all are reaching. In today's culture, silence feels loud. When public figures don't address something, the internet fills in the blanks. Some argued that Papoose didn't owe anyone an explanation. Others said that when you've built your brand on loyalty, optics matter. Every frame matters. Every interaction matters. That's when the generational debate kicked in. Some older hip-hop fans defended Papoose fiercely. He's solid. Stop playing with his name. They saw the backlash as disrespectful speculation. Meanwhile, a younger audience raised on real-time transparency and social media receipts wasn't as quick to dismiss what they saw. They argued that public figures understand how moments can be interpreted. But was it fair? That question sat quietly beneath the noise. Because what if it truly was harmless? What if it was simply networking, business, or mutual respect between two public figures? The problem is that hip-hop culture doesn't evaluate moments in isolation. It evaluates them through legacy, through history, through symbolism. And Papoose's legacy is deeply tied to his public devotion to Remy Ma, so when fans saw something that didn't perfectly align with that image, it created cognitive dissonance. It didn't matter if nothing happened. It mattered how it looked. And then there was Claressa unexpectedly swept into a storm that gathered force overnight. What may have started as whispers quickly transformed into a full-blown narrative. Suddenly, her name was trending in conversations she hadn't initiated. That's the unpredictable nature of viral culture. You don't have to author this story to become a central character in it. For Claressa, a champion known for discipline and dominance in the ring, this was a different kind of fight. One waged. Not with gloves, but across timelines and comment sections. Some critics unfairly directed frustration toward her as though she had engineered the entire situation. In online spaces, nuance collapses quickly. A glance becomes evidence. A smile becomes strategy. A coincidence becomes conspiracy. It didn't matter whether there was verified context. The narrative momentum had already begun. At the same time, many voices rose in her defense. Supporters pointed out a familiar pattern. When speculation surfaces, strong women are often positioned as instigators by default. The commentary evolved beyond gossip. It became layered, touching on gender perception and double standards. Why is confidence in a woman sometimes reframed as manipulation? Why is proximity interpreted as authorship of drama? The debate wasn't solely about loyalty anymore. It became about cultural patterns, about how quickly audiences assign roles, the villain, the disruptor, the threat, without fully understanding the human complexity behind the moment. Social media thrives on clarity. It prefers clean storylines with defined heroes and antagonists. But real life is rarely that simple. Meanwhile, industry insiders were watching closely. In hip-hop and entertainment at large, image isn't just personal, it's economic. Brands are built on perception. Endorsements hinge on reputation. Partnerships depend on narrative stability. A viral controversy can shift public sentiment overnight. Even without official statements, ripple effects are monitored. When backlash reaches a certain volume, it doesn't stay confined to gossip. Blogs, it starts influencing opportunity. That's what makes moments like this consequential. They intersect with careers and long-term positioning. Claressa wasn't just navigating public opinion. She was navigating optics in an ecosystem where perception can directly impact business. The most fascinating part of this situation was how quickly it escalated from curiosity to controversy. Within days, what began as a short clip turned into think pieces about the fragility of public relationships. Fans revisited old interviews, old quotes, old body language, trying to connect dots that may not have even existed. And still, the core question remained. Was this really what people thought it was? Sometimes the internet projects fears onto moments. Sometimes audiences feel protective over couples they've watched for years. Remy and Papoose's story meant something to people. It represented hope in an industry often associated with instability. So when that image feels threatened, even slightly, emotions spike. But here's where it becomes complicated. Hip-hop has always thrived on proximity. Artists collaborate, they attend events together. They align publicly for projects. Not every interaction carries hidden meaning. Yet in an era where every camera phone can freeze a second and turn it into a storyline, even innocent moments become suspect. The longer the situation lingered without clear resolution, the more divided the fan base became. Some accused critics of overreacting. Others insisted that optics don't lie. In the middle of it all were three real people navigating a narrative they may not have anticipated. What makes this moment powerful isn't scandal, it's symbolism. It forced a larger conversation about how much ownership the public believes it has over celebrity relationships. Do fans get to dictate what loyalty looks like? Does public devotion create public obligation? When does speculation cross the line into projection? As days passed, the intensity cooled. But the questions remained. The situation became a case study in how quickly perception shapes reality, how silence amplifies noise, how legacy both protects and pressures. Perhaps the most important takeaway is this: in hip-hop, moves are never just moves. They carry history. They carry expectations. They carry emotional investment from millions of strangers who feel connected to stories they followed for years. Whether Papoose intended to spark anything or not, the reaction proved one thing: people care deeply about the narratives they've embraced. And when those narratives shift, even slightly, the ripple effect is massive. Maybe it was blown out of proportion. Maybe it was a harmless interaction magnified by a culture that thrives on drama. Or maybe it was a reminder that when you build your image on loyalty, every public move will be measured against that standard. In the end, the backlash wasn't just about Claressa. It wasn't just about Papoose. It wasn't even just about Remy. It was about how quickly the digital world reshapes perception, how fragile public image can be, how powerful symbolism remains in hip-hop culture. One move, one clip, one viral reaction. And suddenly, an entire community was debating what loyalty truly means. Because in today's social media landscape, Perception is powerful. Sometimes perception becomes the story long before the truth ever has a chance to catch up.